Hello there, this is Steve from Nothing Venture Nothing Game, here to bring you another video on the new Transformers role-playing game using the Essence 20 system by Renegade Game Studios. Prepare to transform and roll out to this video. Welcome back. In our last video that we did for the Transformers role-playing game system, we actually had a question in the comments section, and it's by Nicholas Marion, and does the book as written allow you to play Decepticons? So as the book is written right now, it isn't something that you can play. It is assumed you're playing the Autobots and you're playing the heroes of the game. But apparently, they based on another person who I couldn't corroborate this. I was trying to look online to find it, but apparently someone had said that Renegade Game Studios has plans on making a Decepticon book and hopefully a Beast Wars book, because that would be my jam. But apparently they are making a book that will allow you to play Decepticons, but you can always work with just like in any role-playing game, you can always work with your GM. You can play a character like Jetfire or Skyfire, who was kind of a Decepticon and defected to the Autobots, or if your GM is okay for you playing with a morally ambiguous character or a Decepticon, just for some reason, like, hey, you want to play that Starscream character that wants to just screw over Megatron, and if your GM's cool with it, your GM's cool with it. But at the moment, the book assumes that you're the Autobots. As far as I can tell, that's the answer to that question. So thanks for the question, and keep them coming. But now we're going to switch over to my other screen. All right, so we have the core rulebook on one side, and we have the typable character sheet in the other. This typable character sheet is available on their website, and it is free, so you can just download it, which is awesome. I'm always a fan of typable character sheets because my handwriting is atrocious. So that's always a plus in my book. All right, so how do we make a character for the Transformers role-playing game system? It's pretty easy. So we're going to just fast forward here to a part in the book. You're going to pick your influence, you're going to pick your origin, and you're going to pick your role. And those effectively, when you pick those three things and you apply all your points to your stats, you effectively have a character. And then you also have to pick your skills. But beyond that, there's not that much that you actually have to select. A lot of the stuff comes kind of baked into like these different options. Your influence is basically what you were doing before you kind of joined the Autobots or the Decepticons and decided to fight in this great war. It was what was your job before all this stuff hit the fan? And that's what the influences kind of represent. All right, so unlike other games where you pick one background, effectively I think of these as backgrounds. In other games, you can pick one background, and that's it. In this game, it gives you a choice. You can pick 1 to 3 influences, but if you pick more than one, you get a bad thing for each one you pick beyond the first one. So we're going to go over that. I haven't really found out what my kind of character. I'm not even sure if I'm going to emulate a character because I have a lot of characters that I would love to play as. But we want to make an original character. We don't want to copy an old character. But we're just going to pick one of these and all these different Q players. That's like a sports player for Cybertronians. You can be an experiment. So that's kind of a cool concept. You could be someone that maybe Shockwave is experimenting on to try to make the perfect warrior, and you were the result. Former politician, gladiator. I'm a gladiator. And then there's a bunch of different ones here. And like I said, you can pick more than one of these, but we're going to go over the bad stuff if you do. Let's pick. We're a security member. We're a security guard. We were guarding Icon, or we were guarding some important relic, or maybe a statue of some sort. And that's what we were before. We decided that we had to help Optimus Prime, and we had to jump on the Ark, and now we're flying over to Earth. So we've picked the security influence, and that gives us, every influence you're going to select gives you a benefit, a perk. In this case, when we're surprised, since the security officer is always looking for that threat, and always looking to see if they're surprised or who's coming into their zone of influence, they're kind of on their toes and prepared. So normally when you're surprised, you can't take any actions and roll any skill tests. But the security guard, because they're always on guard, they're allowed to move, they're allowed to take a move action, and they're allowed to make a skill test, even though normally you're not allowed to. So that's a benefit that you have is for being a security, picking it the influence security. Now it says potential hangups. Hangups, remember when I said in the beginning that you can select 1 to 3 influences. But the negative part of it, taking more than one, is you're going to have to select a hang-up. So the first one, we're not going to have to select a hang-up, but this is negative things that you will have to take one, and that potentially could be detrimental to you in certain situations. It also has suggested characteristics. This is things that you for help you as the player for roleplay opportunities to figure out, like, okay, being a security guard, what does that mean? And you can use the suggested characteristics to kind of add them to your character sheet to kind of like guide your behavior through, like, kind of like showing your security guard is showing kind of thing. So we can select one of the suggested characteristics to, just like I said, it just really is a guide for us to go mess around. And we can always roll on the security bonds. So you're going to pick a characteristic, helps you with your role play, and you're also going to pick a bond. Now, you can roll randomly. It says to roll randomly, but you can also just select one if you really want one particular one. You can always take more than one of the characteristics. You can always take more than one of the bonds. They don't have any direct gameplay effect, but they're, like I said, it's like I said here, we'll pick number 8. My partner was defeated on a security detail we were assigned to after I protected the asset as my first priority. So you protected the thing you were supposed to protect, and one of your friends got injured or killed, and that may affect you in the future. I say, and suggested characteristics. Consider if your character follows these particular characteristics, or if they are an outlier. You could be trigger happy, overreactive, or dreaming of moving on to another role of the team. So maybe you're sick and tired of being the security guard, or maybe you're so dedicated to the security role that you want to be the best security guard that you can be. Like I said, this is literally just to give you suggested ways of acting. And suggested ways, like how being a security guard has affected you, which would be the bonds. And every one of the influences has a set of bonds, a set of characteristics, and also potential hang-ups if you pick more than one. So like I said, you can get one of these perks. You can go through and pick other influences and get a variety of perks, but 2 or the second and the third one are going to come with a potential bad thing as well. So we can write on here, let me put the book away for a second. Influences, there we go. Security. There we go. We don't know what our name is yet. We're just kind of playing it fast and loose. There we go. And we have this perk box here. We can just copy and paste this. There we go. This is just to remind us our perks. There we go. And now we have that. So when we're surprised, we can take move actions and we can roll skill tests. There we go. And now we're getting somewhere. All right. So the second, remember, we have to pick 3 things. We have to pick an influence, we have to pick an origin, and then we have to pick a role. Some stats that you're going to get are going to come from your origin and your role, and then some of it are going to be free points that we're going to be able to spend. Like I said, we're not spending points just yet. This is just my style of doing it. You can spend the points immediately and then kind of pick stuff that kind of matches it. If you have like a stat idea, like, oh, I want to have this strength and I want to have this speed and this smarts and this social, and you kind of like build a character around your stats, or you build your stats around your character. It's really no wrong way of doing it. This is just how I would do it, just because I don't know which necessarily direction I want to go with. If we were playing with a group, I would be talking with my other players. So the origin is going to dictate the form that we get, as well as hit points, as well as a couple of other things. So as we go through, this is going to, so you'll hear the term alt mode and bot mode. So alt mode means the vehicle you turn into as a transformer. So if I am Mirage and I turn into a Formula 1 race car, my alt mode is a Formula 1 race car, and my bot mode is when I turn into a big ass robot and I, punch and shoot people, or turn invisible, because Mirage can turn invisible, which is awesome. So we're going to have, now there's a couple of things you get just for being a Cybertronian, which is some of it's listed here, but the 3 main things you're going to get from picking your origin is you're going to get essence score increases, which is stats. You're going to get stats based on the one you're going to pick. You're going to get a skill that you're going to get proficiency in, and you're going to get starting health. These are the big 3. You also get a bunch of other benefits, which we're going to get into when we pick our mode. Okay, so we're a security detail. So the question is, are we a big lumbering security detail person, or one of these people that chase down the threats and deal with them? So let's go look at a couple of our options here. We have the champion. And also goes into like you could be a cutter, which is a boat, which maybe there's an amphibious campaign that you're playing and you need to pick a bunch of seafaring or airborne modes that, being a car doesn't really work because you're just gonna sink. So there's a variety of modes. And there's Optimus transforming into his alt mode. Oh, it's awesome. I love the artwork, by the way. A monolith. Oh, Optimus Prime getting shot and he don't care. Let's see. And there's Seekers, there's Planes, there's Rainmaker, Outrider. And these are just all the different types. And you can be a support, you can be like Ratchet. Let's see. And all these are going to give you, and it even shows you, if you know the lore of the Autobots and you have an idea of an Autobot in mind, they do give you examples of particular support characters. We have Grapple, Infernal, and Prowl. If you're looking for a Seeker, you want to be a Jet or some sort of airborne character, you can be either like Jetfire, Power Glide, or Windblade. And they give you suggestions, which is nice. If like I had a character in mind, I go, oh, well, that's the character that I want to emulate, and they give you opportunities for that. But let's see. Yeah, that champion. There we go. But it gives you a plus, so we're going to pick this one, and our social is going to go up by 1. So we're just going to write a 1 in here, just so I remember. And that's going to be that. There we go. Okay, and we have an origin skill. Okay, so we get our origin skill. So we get a pick of 1 of 2 skills based on the form that we picked. Your flashy exterior makes a great impression to others, allowing you to increase your persuasion or your streetwise skill using the essence score increase. So when you're talking about skills, the amount of skill points you get isn't determined by anything except your stats. So if I have 5 points in social, I'm going to have 5 social skill points. And as you see below on this end, and I don't know how many animals I'm going to be handling as an Autobot, but there's animal handling, deception, performance, persuasion, and streetwise. So if right now I have 1 point that I got because I picked champion, it's telling me that I can pick a skill, but I have to pick 1 of 2 different skills. And it's telling me 1 of 2 different skills is either persuasion or streetwise. And we're using the Sunstreaker example, it's going to be streetwise. So we're going to tick over this D2 here because that's the first skill point I put into it. And we start with a D2. This is also going to give us some information. So we have a origin benefit, which is going to give us a thing that gives us, like I said, it gives us a benefit. It also shows us our starting health, which I skipped over, which I'm going to jot that down right now before I forget. Health 3. I don't have that much health. I might need to boost that up later. Okay, so we get Cybertronian and we get Earth. We get Earth language, Earth. So we'll get English. It's an adopted Earth language, so you can technically have this. You can technically be from anywhere in the world, and you want to be in Japan, you can take Japanese. You want to be in England, you take English. You want to be in Germany, you can speak German. If you want to be in America, it's going to be English again. But let's see, adopted Earth language plus 1 language for every 3 points of social you possess. So right now we only have 1 social. We may get more, which may increase the number of languages we have. But we're going to skip over to the origin benefit. I know a guy, or I know a bot. You have friends in high places. You have friends in low places too. Whether they are Cybertronian, Earthling, or some other alien people, you make friends wherever you go. You can spend an Energon point to declare that you have have a previously positive relationship with an NPC. This can be an enemy, although it is not likely to change their objectives. They may still go easy on you, but they still may go easy on you, or secretly help you with one of your goals. So it's like I said, you can spend a point of Energon, which is a consumable resource that you have as a transformer. And then you can go, oh yeah, well I know him. Oh yeah. 3 years ago we kind of knew him, and he likes me because I look awesome. So we will just jot this down. So we can just say, for the time being, I'm just gonna, if this would cooperate, thank you. You can write the whole thing down, but right now I'm just doing this fast and loose. And here we go. So we have our bot mode statistics. Now, what your alt mode is, not your bot mode, your alt mode. What your alt mode is up to you. But generally, they'll give you a little bit of description of what category. Like right now, like I said, we talked before, where is a sports car, a luxury sedan, limousines. It's something flashy and kind of out there for the champion chassis selection. So right now we're going to flip over to the second page here, and we're going to go, all right, our alt mode, actually our bot mode, we get a little bit of stats for our bot mode. Our movement is 40 when we're in a big-ass robot. And the thing is, like, okay, so the difference between bot mode and alt mode is when I'm a car, I don't have fingers, right? They're all transformed into being a car, so you can't like have fine motor control. The idea is when you are turned into a big robot, you have fingers, you have toes, you have feet, you have joints, you can move around, you can kind of squeeze into spots, which is not something you're going to have in most of the alt modes. So the champion bot mode, it moves 40 feet. So when you take a move action, you can move up to 40 feet. Your size is large. Most of them are large, and some of them are what's called long. And then, okay, so the additional joints, this is all that this means here. This fine motor, it means you can manipulate small objects or objects in general. Okay, so now we go to our alt mode. Origin name, champion, size long. This is right here. Crew 2. If we have people in we can have up to 2 people in our crew here. And we can have up to 2 hard points, which we're going to get into hard points later. We're going to get into gear in a minute. So movement is 60 feet ground, which matters because some characters are going to be able to fly or be on the water. Features, and I'm going to put the special attack here just because we all know that I think every single one of the alt modes has the limited articulation detriment, and we all kind of figure out that you can't move things with your little itty bitty fingers when you're transformed into a giant car. So we all get it, but if you want to write that somewhere, you can write it either on the origin notes, you can write it somewhere on your character sheet, just so you remind you. But like I said, we're going to skip that here. We're just going to take this special attack here, and we're going to copy that, and we're going to paste it in here in the features, and we hope it fits. It doesn't fit. Okay. All right, we're going to put it right here. We're going to put it right there. Just so I can have it on my character sheet so I can see it when I'm do copious amounts of ramming to people. All right, and that's basically all we get from the origin. So we got our 1 stat point, we got our 1 social, we got our 1 skill point into streetwise or persuasion, and then we got our alt modes. We know we are a bitch-ass car. We're going to be driving real fast. Like I said, you can go into as much detail as you want in skinning out like what you actually look like, the color, maybe some insignias you have on here. Maybe you were actually a sports car. Maybe you are an Indy car. Maybe you're a NASCAR or whatever the case may be. You just do as much as you want with your how your character's colored, how their coloration on their metal bits is, how what you look like. If you want to look like an actual real car, you can do that. Now we pick our role. You can exchange the word role for class. In most games, this is effectively your class. Here are the 7 classes. You have Analyst, Field Commander, Gunner, Mode Master, Scientist, Scout, and Warrior. There are subsets of each one of these. Each one of the roles has 2 subsets. You're going to pick one of them at first level and kind of like excludes the other one out. Scout. We're going to say we're really, since we're pretty fast, we can be a scout. So let's go ahead and get to the scout. All right, and yet again, it gives you also examples: Bumblebee, Hot Rod, and Wheelie. Those are all scouts in the terms of the original show. And this little chart here tells you from 1 to 20 all the things you're going to get. So your essence is going to increase over time. So this is another source of essence that you're going to get through. So you're going to get 1 point from your origin, which you already have in the social. And we're going to get 2 points from our role. And it's always going to be 2 different stats. So in this point, we're going to get a speed and essence boost, and we're going to social essence boost. So it gives you a little bit of explanation. In order to see so far behind enemy lines, the scouts employ every stealth and subtlety tactic they know. When those fail, they get out of the situation as fast as their tires can take them. So they're not designed to be the kind of the upfront fighter. Now, Bumblebee could fight just as much as the next bot, but he wasn't really designed. He was really designed to get in to small spaces, be really fast, get the information, and get the hell out. And you're going to see here, you're going to get all these perks here, which is going to be right here. So you get ally awareness, forward observation, keen sensors, and then you're going to get this boost, and you're going to get this boost, which is this social boost right here. This is more fluff here. Starting perks. And we get all this. Now, for the Allspark, every single Cybertronian gets this. So no matter what role you pick, you're going to get this. And they get basically increases. Now, anytime you see the arrow up or the arrow down, that's an up or downshift. Now, if you watched the last video about Transformers, you understand that upshifting and downshifting increases or decreases the die size rolled for a skill check. So if you're using the infiltration skill, when you're in alt mode, you get an upshift of 1. So meaning whatever die you roll, you get +1. You get an increase of die size. So if you're normally rolling a D6, you roll a D8. If you're rolling a D8, you roll a D10. And then also you get an upshift of 2 if you're appropriate to the area. So if you're a military vehicle in like a parking lot of a mall, you're going to get the upshift of 1 because you're not appropriate to the area. Or if you're a jet, just like landing in a parking lot in the middle of nowhere, you're going to get an upshift of 1 because you look like a real plane, but why would a plane be landing there? So you're going to get an upshift of 1. But if you happen to be a semi-truck parked in a truck stop, that's an upshift of 2 because you're appropriate and people are less likely to suspect you as being a giant Cybertronian. And this is one of the perks we're going to get for being a scout. Is the Cybertronian perk Disappear. For a scout to survive getting seen, they need to get unseen quickly as possible. As a free action, you can spend an Energon point to turn invisible until the end of your turn, because turning invisible is powerful. So yet again, if you want to just add this to your character sheet somewhere. All right, so remember we were talking about we're going to get that increase your essence, your speed essence, and your social essence by 1, which you already did that. We did that over here. We have 1 point in speed, and we have an additional point over in social, which is good. And also, our role gains us skill points. Grant 1 rank in 2 skills from the following: alertness, deception, infiltration, initiative, and streetwise. Basically, they have to be from, so I have to pick 1 from speed, and I have to pick 1 from social. Remember, going back to the idea of the skill points you get are equal to your stats. So the fact that I have 1 speed means I must have at least 1 skill in the speed tree. I have 2 points in social. I must have 2 points in social skills, whether that's 2 points in 1 skill or 1 point in each of 2 skills. And it's telling me I have to do alertness, deception, infiltration, initiative, and streetwise. Two skills from those. So if I really want to be good at streetwise, I might put the extra point into here and make it a D4. Or let's see, initiative. Initiative is good. Because that's, yet again, when you roll initiative, that's the number you're going to roll. So I'm going to put 1 point in initiative. There's no specializing in initiative, so it's a little bit more limiting, but it is irrelevant to combat. So it's something that we might want to put a couple of points into, so we're going quickly because we are the scout. Remember, we're supposed to get in, get out real quick. Yet again, we can even take instead of 2 points into streetwise, we could take 1 point in deception. If we can stop highlighting everything, we can take 1 point in deception. So if we are caught, we might be able to lie ourselves out of that situation. And remember, for every skill that you try that you don't have any skill points in, you roll with a snag, or more commonly known as disadvantage. It means you're going to roll 2 d20s, but you're going to take the worst of those 2. So rolling without any skill points is pretty bad. So sometimes you might want to spread your points out. And other times you might want to consolidate your points to be really good at a few things. So each role has a little extra access to a specific set of gear than the others because their role kind of forces them to know about certain kind of tech. Your role grants you a certain amount of access to equipment. You can requisition any armor upgrades and weapon upgrades you are trained in, as well as all gear. You can access any equipment that you are qualified in without requisitioning it. So you are trained in limited armor upgrades, and you are trained in silent weapons. Because we are sneaky, silent weapons are going to be really good when we're kind of in stealth and we're just trying to get the perfect vision of what the bad guys are doing. Sometimes we're going to need to take a pot shot at somebody, and it's nice to have a weapon that's not going to give away our position. Now, for every role, there is a focus. which is a more specialized version of your class. So technically you can be like Bumblebee, or you can be more like Windblade. Let's see, you choose one of the two areas in which your scout excels: Outrider, who is able to get in and out of areas before anyone notices, or Prowler, who sneaks in as much to gather intel and to disrupt operations. So do we want to be a saboteur as well as a sneaky person, or do we want to be able to be really quick and getting in, getting out really quickly and get that vital, critical information? And then these are all the things, and then you get Prowler. And depending on which one you pick, it depends on you might get a different essence increase. So if we pick Outrider, we're going to get speed increase essence at 1, and again at level 10. I think they both get speed. Yes, they both get speed because you need to be quick, and in a hurry. So the Outrider gets a pick of a skill of driving or initiative, and we've already picked initiative here. And the Prowler gets either finesse, infiltration, or targeting. So depending on which skills you want to focus on may inform your decision here of which one you want to do. And then obviously you're going to look at some of these higher level perks depending on what kind of focus you're really going for. Yeah, we're going to go for Prowler. So this increases our speed by 1 again. So it becomes a 2. Now our speed is 2 and our social is 2. So we've effectively spent 4 out of our 16 points. So we get a total of 16 points at first level. We've spent 4 of them because of the other decisions we've made. And we didn't get a choice directly on these. Based on our decisions that kind of focused in our focus of these stats, and then may inform where we put the rest of our points. So we have to pick either finesse, infiltration, or targeting. So finesse is basically it's a melee attack that is similar to Brawn, but Brawn is using brute strength, and finesse is using effectively your finesse, your speed, instead of your strength. Infiltration is sneaky stuff. And let's see, and targeting is shooting. Targeting is bang, bang, I shoot you, you're dead. So since we're going to be the sneaky character, we're going to take a level of infiltration. We may, remember, we're going to get other points in this, so we're going to be able to have a couple more skill points that we're going to get to. You also get forward observation. You take in every aspect of what you witness. Alertness is both smart and social skills for you. So if you look at alertness, if we can find it. So remember what I said for when you're picking skills, you have to have the stats for it. But in this case, it's smart and social for you. So if you get a social increase, I can then put points into alertness if I really wanted to. So alertness being a useful skill to know because you want to be alert of what's around you. Normally you'd have to put points into smarts to get that skill, but in our case, because we're a scout and we're always kind of keeping an eye on what's around us, we're allowed to pick it based on our smarts or our social. When you roll alertness skill test and the creatures you're observing aren't aware of you, you can score a critical hit with your D2. So that is a deviation from the normal rules, but that is important to know. All right, so that's all the choices that we made effectively that we have to make, except we still have 12 points to spend on all of our skills. Now, all of our stats, excuse me. One important thing is there's 2 important things for you to know when you're applying your stats. One of them doesn't be relevant in first level, but it will be relevant in higher levels, and the other one is relevant in first level. You must have 1 point in every stat, minimum. So even though I don't really want strength, and maybe I don't want smarts, I might want to just put all my points into speed and social, I have to put at least 1 point into strength. I have to put at least 1 point into smarts, which means I'm going to get 1 strength skill and 1 smart skill. And if I were smart, I might want to put a couple of points in each of these skills, because even though that I might be focused on speed and social, as seen here, kind of a lot of things that revolve around being quick, being not seen, and being able to talk myself out of a situation. Smart skills and having a higher smarts and having a higher strength not only gives us skills, but also gives us defenses, which certain attacks will target. So having a decent stat in each one of them is a solid plan. But we have to have at least 1 point in each stat, and then effectively you can never go above a 15 in any given stat. So as you get higher and higher level, keep in mind that you may have stats that If you highly invested into one stat, you may eventually level to the point that you can't get any higher. So that's something to consider when you're building your character. So we get 12 points to spend. So effectively, you're going to get 16 points all total, but 4 of those points are going to come from the choices you made, and then 12 points is wherever you want to put them. Okay, let's put in 2 points into strength. Let's put in 4 points into smarts. Let's say it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 6 more points to spend. I'm going to put 2 points into speed. I'm going to put 2 points into social. Let's see, 4, 8, 12, 13, 14. Now I can put 1 point in. Hey, I can put 1 point into speed and 1 point into social, have 5 and 5, or I can put 2 points into social and have a 6. And I think we want to be really good at social. We're just going to put the 6 in there and not average it out. So now we have to spend our skills. So let's go down the line. What's our strength? The strength is 2, and we can pick 2 points here. Now, conditioning doesn't have any dice associated with it. This just increases your health. We can take intimidation, which we're not really intimidating. We can take might. We're not that strong. We might just spend 2 points and make our health a 5, which might be useful. Okay, we have 4 points to spend here. We already spent 1 point here and 1 point here. So remember, it's your number of skill points is equal to your stat. So we've already spent 2 of our 4 points here. So we can spend, now we can spread them out or we can focus on them on something. Remember, if we don't have a skill, we roll with disadvantage. So we want to be good at driving, and I might just put 2 points into driving just so we're good at it, which means we're rolling a disadvantage in both finesse, acrobatics, which means we have no combat ability. This might not be a good plan. So let's take a D2 in driving, and let's take a D2 in either finesse or targeting. So the question is, do we want to shoot more, or do we want to melee more? Let's I tend to play a lot of melee characters, so let's take the D2 in targeting. All right, then we have 4 points into smarts. So we can take, remember, alertness is both smarts and social, but we also have a lot of social skills we might want to pick up. So we might want to put like 1 point into alertness. Maybe you don't really care about culture or survival, but survival, being on our own, we might want to put 2 points into that. And yeah, well, we spread it. We spread our points around for speed. Except with the driving. Let's do the same thing. Let's take another point of alertness. We really want to be alert. And remember, we can also take a specialization at some point, which is something that you might consider. We might take 1 specialization. Let's say we have 6 points. Remember, we've spent 2 points. So we have 6 points. Let's do 1 point here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll take a point here, 6, and we're going to take a specialization. So given the fact that we are really good, we want to be deep into enemy territory, we want to be able to see stuff that that other people will miss. So we can either take perception, which is more of like a cursory look at your surroundings to see if there's something dangerous. Like I said, taking a scene around you quickly through natural senses. This is not a deep search for specifics, but rather a collective makeup of the information around you. So that might be useful, but I'm actually thinking about investigation, searching the area for specific details, hidden images and items, and other secrets in the scene. So that seems like something that we would want. So remember, and this is what it lets us do, is when we're specifically rolling with investigation under alertness, we're allowed to roll a D6, a D4, and a D2 to see which one of those dice is better. And remember, going back to our other ability, we can crit with the D2, which is pretty good, which might mean we use the D6 because it rolled a 5 or whatever, right? And with a D20, we succeeded, but we rolled a 2 with the D2. Normally it doesn't crit, but for us, it does crit. So we're going to go into what Energon points is. We're just going to go quickly into what Energon points is. Energon points lets you modify certain things about your character when you're doing stuff. It's kind of like an internal reservoir of energy that you get to use. The amount of Energon that you get to have on your character is equal to your lowest essence score. So this is another reason. So this is one of the reasons I like this game. it wants to pull you in multiple directions because you want to have a really high stat for really important things. But then if you focus on one stat and leave one stat kind of behind, then you run into something like this, and there's a rule to balance it out. So in this case, we kind of left strength as a 2, which means we can only have at most 2 Energon at our disposal at any given time. Now, it's a rechargeable resource. You can eventually get it back. But it allows you upshifting on skill checks. It lets you ignore snags. Say we're rolling one of those skill checks that we don't have any points in. We're going to roll with the snag. We can spend an Energon to ignore that snag and roll just with a straight D20 roll. Let's see. That's if we're at 0 hit points. We can function normally for 1 to 2 rounds. As a standard action, we generate an Energon point and another character. So basically, if another character is out of Energon, we can feed them 1 point of our Energon and give it to them. Actively, and also some perks require you to power them with Energon points. So because we dipped out on our strength a little bit, we only have 2 points of Energon. So if we decided to go like maybe with a 5 social and a 3 strength, we would have gotten an extra point of Energon. But we're sticking to it. We made our choices. We're going to live with them. There we go. And we haven't come up with a name. So our name is going to be Gear Runner. A really Autobot-y name. Our origin is Champion. Our role is Scout. Our level is 1. We are an Autobot. So talking about that question that I had made reference to that someone asked on YouTube, they even future-proofed the character sheet here because you can either pick Autobot or Decepticon. They just didn't give any rules for Decepticons as of yet. There we go. And once you have all your stats selected, like we have all 16 points spent for our first level character, now we get to figure out what our defenses are. And this is another reason why your stats kind of matter. For the most part, your stats matter for the skills you're allowed to pick, but it also changes what your defenses are. And you're going to have a defense for every single stat. So as for strength, it's going to be toughness. And you can figure out your defenses right here. And it's on page 26. Let's see, toughness for enduring physical stuff. Let's see, and you can write your stuff here. Some perks are going to give you, and you might have some armor that increases your toughness, your toughness, which is your defense for your strength. But right now, we're just going to do 10 plus our essence, and we're going to fill that in for each one right here. And we have 4, and we have 4, and we have 6. We're really high on the cleverness there. There we go. And so we have a 12 defense here. We have a 14 defense for our evasion, which is pretty good. We have 14 willpower. We're pretty willful. You know, it's not bad. It's not bad. And we have a 16 points in cleverness. So anytime an ability says that it attacks those specific defenses, that's the defenses that we're going to have to compare it to when we get hit to see if the attack or effect is successful. And that's basically our character done, because our long blade requires 2 hands. We technically can have room for maybe some repair kits or some other kits that we want to take with us, but that's going to be up to you when you're making your character. So let me slip back. There we go. So as you're going through your creation of your character, let's see. And you're going to come up with a name. You're going to, like I said, you're going to mostly be working with your other players. This is just me making it in vacuum, but you are going to be working with your other players. You're trying to cover each other's bases. So if someone does want to be that very low combat character who sneaks in, sneaks out, gets the information they need, maybe goes in, maybe they're the repair person too. So maybe they sneak in and have to repair the shield grid or something to prevent the Decepticons from stealing that tech or stealing those Energon cubes. You know, and well, they're going to need help because they're going to be in a situation where that something is going to go wrong and they're going to get discovered and they're not going to be able to defend themselves. But you need that person to be able to fix that thing that you're talking about. So you need to fix the space bridge. You need to fix the ground bridge. You need to fix whatever you guys are trying to do for your adventure. But at the end of the day, they may have put all their points to be able to do that. So they're going to need help. So we're going to be rolling with a snag on anything that they don't have skill points in. But you, as a big burly, guy with a big hammer and giant ion blaster or whatever you guys are going to roll with, you're going to need to step up and kind of protect that character. Or maybe you do all go with a little bit of everything. So you kind of can cover most of the bases, but remember your skill checks are going to be a lot lower because you're spreading your stuff out, you know, but you have a less risk of rolling into that snag. So these are choices that you're going to discuss. And also with your GM, maybe they give you a little leeway on certain things. Maybe they give you like more hard and fast. No, you can't do this, but you can do this other thing. And it's, you know, really how the game goes. But that's how you make a character in the Essence 20 system for Transformers. So if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. But until then, may all your die rolls be crits and may you always roll max damage. See you later.